All right, welcome to the 3/2. I'm Joe Fortunato. I'm actually not joined by my co-host Chris Grieve here today, but I do have a very special guest with me. He's going to be the first of multiple guests coming on here. Um, you can find him coaching We-R1. You can find him coaching MOT basketball here and a bunch of other things. One of the busiest guys I know. We got Tre Prescott. How are you, Tre?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to have you on. Got a lot of things I want to talk to you about, especially going on in the Delaware area here. First, before we get into all that, man, I just want to chop it up about the Sixers real quick. Back when I was coaching with you, I feel like we had daily discussions. So what
Oh
what do
yeah.
you, what do you think of the state of the Sixers right now?
I mean, obviously when you have an Embiid, it always is going to be entertaining, and I think that's great. It just sucks because I feel like we're kind of in the same cycle of just short, and right now, I like the fact that we don't have the excuse in the Eastern Conference that it's like a bad conference, because right now it's packed. We
Right.
saw how far Boston got when no one really expected that, like in the beginning of the year. Obviously the Bucks were the favorite to come out again. And then you have the Bucks, you have the Nets, you have us as Sixers. So going back to the original question of the Sixers, I mean, it's fun because I also I'm a fan. Like, I'm a Sixers fan no matter what. Um, so obviously watching Embiid, watching Harden, watching Tobias, like, we have guys, and it makes it fun, makes it entertaining, and we're definitely a powerhouse in the East. Obviously I will probably, out of the teams we named, we're probably the fourth or fifth best team. And we have a chance. But we're in a win now situation. We have Embiid, who is a center, who, at the end of the day, as amazing a player as he is, and amazing centers we had through NBA history, that size, there's a peak. There's a peak that comes with that size and that ability. I'm hoping we get another year or two out of his prime. Harden has to step up as a scorer. I think that he thought he could facilitate the way he did it with the Nets, and you can tell he was hurt this year. Like I said, I still, without any trades, us going in the same team, we're probably fighting for that fourth spot right now, which is good. We're probably right there with the Nets, I say, even with the addition of, Ben. We're probably right there. So we'll see how it goes long season, but I know everybody knows we kind of have to win ASAP.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I think four is about where we are. And anywhere you're grabbing home court advantage in that first round, I mean, that's a great spot to be in. With that being said, Harden's been in the gym, hopefully. We used to talk all the time about how guys would post on social media how they're in there,
Yeah.
but how much are they
Ben,
really in
Ben
there?
was the number one
Yeah.
representation. I think that at the end of the day, people forget that is Harden is one of the best offensive players in history.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean,
Hmm.
his efficiency rate between scoring and assist at Houston was ridiculous. It
Crazy.
got to a point he was either scoring or making the play for it to be scored.
Right.
He That doesn't stop. I mean, he also didn't rely too much on athleticism ever in his career. He's a strong guy, he has broad shoulders, and he gets low. Like, once he puts you on your hip, you're up to him. So I say that to say he has the ability to give us, not obviously not prime Houston, but he can definitely be a, a great second player. And a lot of times, those second players are the ones who win you the game. All the pressures on that first player. I mean, you have your mega stars who obviously are going to get the ball, but then everybody, going back to the cliche, like, Jordan had Pippen for those moments of relief. LeBron had Kyrie. I mean, Kyrie probably hit one of the best shots in finals history, from the wing. So
Right.
it's like you have these moments where that second guy is the X factor. So I think Harden has that capability. I'm not one to slander players. I really don't think that you can slander what he's done in his career. And I think when a guy like him, if he's making shots, then that's all we needed from him, literally. And I
Right.
think he has the capability to make shots when he's healthy, because he was hurt. He didn't explode much. Like, you can tell he was bothered. And hopefully he took the time to rehab and go forward with his career. So, again, I'm happy he's a Sixer. I'm happy with the trade. You don't pass up on, again, one of the best players in history, offensive players in history, make that clear.
Sure.
Um, when he's not. I mean, he's not peak Harden in Houston, but he's also not a scrub. He's not like Jordan on the Wizards out here. Okay, he's a player.
Right. Yeah, no, you're completely right. Like if you would have told me 4 years ago that we would have James Harden in a Sixers jersey, I don't care what condition he would be in, I'd be ecstatic. So I think he's got a lot more left in the tank. So I'm excited for what's to come here.
No, I totally agree. I think again he's a player at the end of the day, and like I think him and Embiid kind of have that same lifespan. Like let's see what 2 years brings us, and it's just frustrating because you know Embiid is a generational talent, um, and he's never been to an Eastern Conference final, and it's like you don't want to get to the point where he's not happy and it's
Right.
ugly in Philadelphia because he could go like you know just because his peak I believe might be 2 years he's still going to be a great role player. I mean, you have your Gasols, like your guys who rely on skill, and their centers that rely on skill and go out to win later on in their career just because they're so efficient. Like imagine if Embiid got to a Spurs type of system. I mean, probably then our whole conversation would be like, you know, maybe he has 5 years of productivity in that tank. Or if he goes to a guard heavy, like let's just throwing teams out there, a guard heavy Warriors team where again he doesn't have to do much. Like he really has a great career ahead of him without injuries because of how skilled he is. End of the day, we had a guy who hitting threes, making the right passes, defending, you know, might not be able to run up and down like he used to, but he can I think he can totally adjust his game to older age. And that's why, you know, I'm just hoping he finds in his heart to retire a Sixer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll certainly see, right? And I think you're spot on. Like, first thing that came to mind when you're saying if he jumps into another system and goes like, I'm just thinking of him playing with a guy like a superstar right now, like a John Morant, and he pairs with Jaren Jackson, those kind of guys. Like even when
Right.
he's not peak Embiid, you know what I mean?
Or even a
He'd
Luka.
complement anyone.
Luka hasn't had a center. Like there's
Right. I mean, that's even better, Luca.
it's very it's scary about how things could get. But like I said, at the end of the day, we haven't paired with James Harden, so we have to be happy with that.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what he could do for sure. So I definitely want to get into your coaching, right? So I failed to mention in the intro, you got St. Andrews on your plate as well.
Mhm.
Let's start off with the smallest one of the three. Let's go MOT here. So
Okay.
you're pretty much running that at this point, right? You're
Considered the program director at this point, yeah.
gotcha. Cool. So what's that been like? I've been out of it for a couple of years now. I was helping you guys out for a bit.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? I see the emails and you guys trying to
Yeah.
fill up
So
spots.
I feel like we're doing great. It's the league is the biggest it's ever been.
Good.
It's to me it's funny you mentioned like I think when it comes to popularity and how much it's promoted, it would be the smallest, but for me it's the biggest because it's all year round. Like, you know, let's just start off in summer. We go from summer camps, then we go to fall league, and then we go into winter league, and then we go into spring league, and then we go into summer camp. And it's been that cycle for years now. I mean, half a decade for me. With being really into it, like I've helped Terrell for probably 10 years plus, obviously. But with MOT, it's fun. It's really, really fun. It's brought me a lot of opportunities. Just with networking, not that I've gotten like a job from it or did anything, but you just talk to people. And I like the fact that it's a kids league because I'm a big believer in inclusion. And that's me, what probably my school counselor had on is you have kids like we have kids who are on the spectrum that can go out there and play. We have boys and girls playing together. We have different age groups put together. We have kids who they walk away friends. We have moments like on our winter league where like we have maybe an older brother playing at one gym at 1 o'clock, but the younger brother played at the other gym at 10 a.m. So you have these families who, and I've caught them, they make it a thing and then oh, we got to go to your brother's game. And they go to the first game afterward. They might go to Dunkin' Donuts and then go to the second game. And, obviously with running it, there is always hiccups. But I will say overall, like the impact we get from community to people who text me afterwards and say, my son just had fun. Over the summer, we had, I think you remember we used to do camper of the week. So we gave somebody camper of the week. The mother cried because she was so happy that her sons got recognized, and she was happy about him being happy. And I think for me overall, like when it comes to MOT, it's like I call it like a passion project. Like it's a very feel good. I work in the elementary school. I have kids in my school who look at me, they're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm Coach Tre, but it's nice because they talk about basketball and they get into it, and it's kind of like a humbling ground from the other basketball ventures I do, because like, yeah, you could just play the sport for fun. Like you don't have to play high school basketball ever, you don't have to play college basketball ever. It doesn't have to be this thing that consumes you. It can be, and that's amazing. But at the same time, it can just be something you do. You could, we have kids who we just came out of a pandemic. We just had parents who just wanted their kids to socialize and just like dropped them off at camp. And then Monday we had these little kids who were crying and didn't want their parents to go. By Thursday, they're like looking at their parents like, why are you picking me up early? Like
Right.
they're making friends and they're talking, and we get to give that positive feedback. So for me, MOT is it's a passion project. It doesn't stop. We're getting bigger. I like that we're branching right now. I've had the honor really to look for interns and get athletic directors. So we're growing as a team, and I'm just really excited with how many things that could happen, because we call it MOT, but really it's called Future Stars. We're just in the MOT area.
Right.
So I'm just excited for over the years how far Future Stars can go. Me knowing the other basketball ventures out there, I do believe, have a goal for like a Wilmington Future Stars and a Smyrna Future Stars and Dover Future Stars. And just seeing how far we can grow and just impact communities. We're a nonprofit. We strive off of our drug prevention program, and we're partnered with the state through that. And it's going good. We try to implement our motto, train dirty, live clean. We have wristbands, t-shirts. You probably have one somewhere
Yeah.
at this point. So for me, I think we can make a good impact on just the quality of life people have throughout just a common ground of a sport. And that's the beautiful thing about sports. No matter what your sport is, there's going to be a common ground for people who don't look like you and didn't come from the same background. And I think that's very, very evident, especially in MOT.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on everything. And that's exactly what I kind of imagined you would answer here. So, yeah, I mean, even my brief time there, seeing parents reach out to other kids' moms, say, hey, his birthday's next week, that kind of thing. And they would have
No,
never met
for
each
real.
other. You
Yeah,
know what
they
I
do
mean?
it. I mean, we've had, I've gotten, gift cards, and people have had
Right.
birthdays at the game and after the game. They're giving their teammates cupcakes. And then again, it's basketball, so obviously the experience level and skill level varies, and some kids have, more fun than others. But at the end of the day, it's nice to see parents just, let their kid have some fun. And most kids just go out there and they have fun. Where I like to call us an instructional league. We don't focus on just showing you who the best kids in our league are. Like, I don't thrive off that. For me, it's nice to have better players, and we have had better players come through the league. And but for me, I like the league overall. So like from the most experienced to the least experienced, did they have a quality time with us, whether it be just for a fall league or just for a league? Or some kids, they come year round camp and league, and
Yeah.
they're just like, what's up? And then, and it's nice. And then you see them around town, you talk to their parents. I remember one time I went to Texas Roadhouse with my family, and a parent was like, oh, can you take a picture with me? My kid would be so happy that like I saw you out. And I wouldn't even know that was a thing, like to me, I was just doing my job. Have another kid, I mean, and everybody's getting older now. So yeah, there's a lot of kids who, obviously I was in high school when I started early college, but now there's kids graduating high school. And I had a kid reach out to me like, bro, like, thank you so much that, you've been so impactful and like an influence on me, and I'm doing this now. And he's doing really well for himself. And it's just nice because like I got the text and I think it happened in November. I happened just to take my little sister out on like a vacation. So I was chilling, wasn't trying to do too much. And then to get that text like really was like confirming of like, wow, like I'm doing something right. So I just try to do right by people and just make it fun. And that's all MOT is for me. It's just a passion project for me and my community. And hopefully one day we can branch to other communities.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that a little bit more. So I played MOT. It was one of the beginning years for MOT when I was in there for
For
sure.
sure.
My dad coached, and like it's crazy to me now that we're kind of reflecting on. I didn't even think about it prior to this podcast. Like half of my friends I'm friends with today are guys I played MOT with. Like half of them for sure.
And that's just love because for me it's hard to keep track of everything. There's just so many kids so many times. So
Right.
to hear you say that again, it's nice. And then you have like over the summer we have our camp counselors and a lot of them did MOT and they were just talking like, oh, you remember when you ref this game? I'm like, no, I ref like hundreds at this point. But then they were saying memories and they're like, yeah, me and him were on a team together, and they're like, oh yeah, like like they're talking about like their seventh grade memories. Wow, they're about to like right now they're in college orientation. So it's really, really nice. And I just follow the motto that Terrell laid out for me. And it's like, when somebody reaches out their hand to you, just make sure when that time comes, you reach out your hand to somebody else. And that's it. So I just hope that, obviously you have different relationships. So me and some other kids have definitely bonded more. But just anybody that hopefully I impacted, maybe not, but if I have, just try to do the same for the next person and have a lot of empathy. So it's very nice that again I can use that school counselor hat to do this game of basketball that a lot of people love.
Yeah. It's definitely a rewarding thing, and I'm happy you're part of it. I'm happy you're running things and doing everything right by the people that are coming through. Next, I want to get into We-R1. So We-R1 fascinates me to this day. It fascinated me back when I was playing. I was playing for the Magic and then a little bit on that other We-R1 team. You were actually supposed to coach me, but unfortunately I had some terrible knee problems going on.
Yeah, man.
I was going through it. I was going through Oscar Slaughters for years, man. And my knees.
Yeah, that was gonna be a fun team. That was a fun team.
Yeah, we had a good lineup on that team, and I felt like with all my knee problems, I was gonna be like 7 foot one day. Never panned out. I figured that was the growth
there
thing.
too. It's just your knee.
Yeah, right. That's what it is. But yeah, so We-R1, right? You've been involved for quite some time now. Once as a player, right? You were playing with some bigger name guys who actually ended up getting some professional experience here. Who are you playing with? What are some names?
So I guess the biggest name to go back to who I played with would be Derek Jones Jr. Known him since I wouldn't say about 8th grade, maybe the end of 7th grade, going into 8th grade. It's funny. He was a kid. We were kids. Now I'm going back to it. My dad, Coach We-R1. So We-R1 originated. We were East Coast Elite in Delaware.
Yep.
So East Coast Elite, and then we played under Terrell. He had a team of mixed guys from like just everywhere, really. It goes as far as Connecticut, a lot of Delaware guys too, but Delaware, Philly, Jersey, Connecticut stick out to my head. So Terrell always had top-notch players around. So we're East Coast Elite. I'm probably about 12, 13 years old now. And we had a AAU season that was okay. I had always had a good AAU experience, but I was not one of the better guards on my team. And for me, my internal motivation was like, my dad's the coach. And it wasn't like, he wasn't like, playing me out there just because I was his son. Like, no, I distinctly remember tournaments where like I didn't play, like tournaments. I didn't touch the floor. And so that ate at me. So my dad, obviously my dad knew that we work out crazy. So my dad and within one of my other AAU teammates for East Coast Elite, his dad was like, "Hey, I'm going to put my son on this team in Chester for a little bit to play in the Philly Aztec League." And then he was like, maybe bring him out and they need a guard. So I go out there and we go to this park, and I wasn't worried about anything but like a fresh slate. Like my dad wasn't going to be the coach. I was going to be away from these kids who I had fun with, but there was always that line of like, you're not as good as us, and your kids let it be known, right? And it's a good thing, you know.
Right.
In hindsight, it pushed me. So I go out there and like just playing defense and just had a really good like first impression, right? So while I'm there, this tall, lean kid who's coach's son, he's like around 6 foot, and so when you're like 13 years old, that's tall. He has dreads, and he's just a skinny kid wearing Chester, and he was good. And probably I looked so good that day because I think we got paired up together. So I'm just like, if I play defense and give him the right passes, we're good. So left-hand kid, right? Turns out this skinny kid, pretty cool kid. So I played with that Chester team for a little bit. And he ended up we just clicked, He would come to my house in Middletown, Delaware. I would go to his house in Chester. We played together through the season. He was like, I would never forget like how many games like we might have won, because he was always trying to dunk on people. And I knew before he could dunk though. So he would smack the backboard hard, try to go for a run, just all of that. And we were just like, dude, just lay the ball up. Like, you can't dunk it. So we time passes, and he always just wanted to play for his dad's team. Never. So when We-R1 came into fruition, when we transitioned from East Coast Elite to We-R1, which is a whole nother story by itself, I was like, Terrell, we got to get this kid. And Terrell was like, you know him? And like, I guess everybody knew about him. I'm like, yeah, like we played on this Chester team together. And so I reach out, I'm like, yo, D, like, you got to play. And he was like, nah, I just want to play with my friends. And I'm like, you could do both. I'll do both. I'll still play with your dad, but like, and he was like, nah. I'm like, yo, we get Under Armour gear. We travel. Are you going to come? Nah, I just want to play with my friends. So we're like, whatever. So I remember one night Terrell was like, nah, we're not going for that. So he makes me and my dad drive to Chester in a rainstorm at this other team has practice. And I'll never forget, we're sitting in the car, Terrell and my dad and Derek's dad, who was the coach Derek. We're sitting outside. Don't know why they weren't in the gym, but they were just drenched in the rain and talking. And then they came back, and Terrell was like, we tried. So back then was Facebook messaging. So me and Derek were always cool. Like, we would hang out still, whatever. And there's always, every summer, Hoop Group has a huge tournament, the Pit Jam Fest. And I guess beforehand, Derek just randomly told his dad, like, yo, I think I should go to that. Like, is that We-R1 team like available? And so Derek called Terrell, like Coach Derek called Terrell probably the same day that they were heading to like the airports and driving and everything. It was like a whole thing. And Derek ended up playing with the older team, goes out there and kills it. And the rest was history,
Right.
It was amazing because people, social media isn't what it is today, obviously, but back then, I don't know, I forget the exact year. 2011 might be the year, the NBA lockout year, when players were playing the pro-am, like heavy in Drew League, and Kobe was playing, LeBron would come out, like it was a big deal, DeMar DeRozan. And that's when Ball's Life kind of got their big push, because they would go record these games. I say that to say that kind of led to them, following that momentum and going to grassroots. So there were times where, like Derek's early courtside videos, Derek early Ball of Life videos, we would play a game, and after the game, the cameraman would talk to us and be like, yo, y'all like these highlights and this, that, and the third. And then it just blew up from there. And college coaches started getting on him. I remember being at Hoop Group, and we find out that he got like a Kentucky offer. Just being around him, throughout the high school was nice. He always said he was going to go to NBA. The path wasn't probably what any of us thought, just going undrafted after UNLV and all these things. but obviously it went on to him being a very successful player, a dunk champion. But he's been the same kid, and I've seen him while he was an NBA player, he's the same exact Derek I've always known. And obviously his freak athleticism.
It's crazy.
Yeah. He's been like that. I've seen in high school crazy moments where him dunking on people or jumping over people or just catching oops. And I always tell people he's the reason I can't throw an alley-oop, because it didn't matter where I threw it, he would get it.
Everywhere.
Or high.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were playing pickup, and a scout from Villanova was there. So it was probably one of his early looks. So he was really hyped. Before he got used to it, he was like, made me look good. So I'll never forget, I got a steal, and he ran ahead of me. So he points up, and for whatever reason, I threw like a scoop left hand at his hip. And as soon as the ball released, like in my head, I'm like, we're going to fight about this later. Like, I was like, ugh. So I let the ball go, and he catches it at his hip and just windmills it down. He was on the right side, catches it at his hip, in motion, windmills it in the middle. And I was like, yeah, his kid's different. So that's one. I'll always say he's not even the best high school player I've been around. He's just the biggest, well, one of, at this point, the biggest names in We-R1 as an organization. I think we have to give Mr. Bones Highland that title now when it comes to popularity as a We-R1 player.
Yeah.
But I was around some stud players. I was around. I have a picture of us on a We-R1 team in Milwaukee, and my running joke, because I still coach We-R1, and I tell players, I'm like, yo, listen, I know I was the only one who was not D1 in this picture by far. So I think it's a humbling moment for me. It's honesty. But at the same time, I let my players know, like, one, is okay not to go D1, but two, like there's levels to this, even in high school. And sometimes you just know. And like, again, when you have a player, and we'll just keep on D, he you knew it was different. It didn't even feel real. Like, you go everywhere, you travel around, around the country and play different teams, and he still was jumping over people. I've seen like some other NBA players that were in his class who are studs now, who he literally, like, his thing is dunking. So I've seen him dunk on some guys, and it happens. And he's doing great in his time in Chicago right now. And I just wish him more success.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff he's done is crazy. But as far as our relationship goes, I wanted to talk about that real quick before my next question. Actually, I think we have about 20 minutes here. Zoom cuts you at 45, I believe. So I want to spit through a couple things quick. But as far as our relationship, right? So prior to knowing you, I'm under Coach Ben Bentel, playing for him.
Yes.
I'm playing. Actually, they just said we got 10 minutes, so we'll wrap it up here shortly. So I play under Ben. I play under Coach Jordan. I play under Coach Miles. Right.
Yep.
So I play under those three guys. Those three guys are all moving on to play college basketball. And
Yeah.
then the next year, Rel talks to me. He's like, "So I'm gonna have this guy Tre coach you guys this year. He's a good dude." And the first thing I asked for, I was like, "Oh, where's he playing next year?" And he's like, no. He's gonna be a lot different than these guys. I was like, what do you mean? And I got to know that you were a basketball mind. You knew the game in and out.
Yeah.
And I totally got to understand that and respect that as we go. But just thought it was funny, as you mentioned, I'm the only guy who didn't go D1.
Yeah. I mean, we stuck on Derek for a second, but like, there's a lot of studs in this We-R1 organization.
I mean, you got Tre, Eric, Bones. I mean, Derek, even Ben Bentel, Miles, those guys. I mean, Quade Green. Yep.
Yeah, the list goes on. Austin Tillman, AJ English. Again, like, I can go Malik Ellison, who's representing the G League in the FIBA championship right now. You just have studs, a lot of professionals,
quality D1 guys, quality D2 guys. Yeah,
great, and a lot of great individuals too. I want to add.
Sure.
So yeah, it's star packed. I mean, the three guys you mentioned, Ben is doing amazing overseas. Jordan, he went on to play a great college basketball career and then get his master's from Cambridge, which is amazing.
Right.
It went to Princeton and then overseas. Like, this is what We-R1 does. So it's very nice. It's very nice to see where everybody's grown.
Yeah, definitely. And as a player, the first thing you ever taught me, it was in a first scrimmage as a team. We did like a team scrimmage before I had to step away. And for some reason, I just kept jumping at everything. You remember Seam, right?
Yeah, I remember about seeing him. Yeah.
Dude, I was jumping at everything he was doing. And you told me, whether it was in the paint or on the 3-point line, you're like, you'll never block shots. Like you are 5'10", you'll never block a shot in your life. He's like, just stay on the ground. So taking things like that, right? And seeing how you've developed as a coach over time, right? I mean, you were doing We-R1 with the younger guys. I mean, I know you still dabble in that, but now you're moving on to guys that have chances at professionals careers. And the
Yes.
most important part to me, and I think you can agree, is that you get to leave this impact on them now and show them how basketball is supposed to be played and how it can be a passion, it can be a hobby, it can be just something you do on, every other day basis. It could be daily, you're spending 10 hours in the gym kind of thing. So my question is like, what's your end goal with this, right? I think you're very satisfied with what you're doing right now, but do
Yeah.
you have any aspirations, dreams other than growing the MOT league, the future stars?
No, I don't. I say I love everything I'm doing now. I would just do it bigger. For me, it's like I want MOT to grow. When We-R1 to grow, and I want St. Andrews. And I think the only thing I would change, I might not stick at St. Andrews my whole high school coaching career. Um, and who knows where life can take me, right? I'm young. I'm very
Yep.
young in this. I'm 25. So, excuse me. So I'm 25, I strive to one day be that basketball dad. I don't, I hope I'm far away from having, a child of my own. So I think that it can change. I mean, I can do all this right now and have a baby girl and be like, all right, well, well, actually, I'm about to say go Lady Sharks, but they're a part of We-R1 now too. So
Yeah, I heard.
so it's like, it's a blessing. That I get to make this impact. It's nice that, hearing stories like that, because again, to me, it was just being authentic. It was just showing you that what was showed to me. Like, I remember trying to jump for everything, getting 1 or 2 blocks, getting hype and everybody. And then going back to these guys, I remember playing scrimmages with like a Ben and seriously competing. And that's the thing. Like, I competed and I played, and when I was with these guys, it wasn't like I just let them be the D1 guys. For sure, I learned a lot of basketball and I played hard, and I contributed a lot to these moments. So for me, I just learned when Ben got the ball in the paint, I'm probably going to get elbowed in the head if I, try to jump with him or double down in a post or try to be in help and, running off of screens, getting elbowed in like, and when it's coming from these high quality players, it's like, oh, okay. So it's only right that I just relay that message. I'm just doing, like, I keep it really simple. I just do for others what was done for me. And coaches made sure I knew that. And I went to the next kid. And I'm going to say that hopefully when everybody puts their coach in, if and whenever they put their coach's hat on, they reiterate something that was just literally told to me. I'm just repeating out here. I'm just a messenger out here. Everybody else has to, take what they want from it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something I try to live by every day as well, whether I'm doing something at my work or I'm doing something for someone else, even my time coaching, right? Like an important thing to me is to be the guy that I wish I had by my side when I was their age, you know what I mean? So keeping that mindset and staying on course to make sure you're benefiting and teaching, I think that's something you do better than most people I know, for sure. And I mean, as you know, you're my go-to guy for coaching stuff. So it was great to have you on here. Just chopping it up about some things that our relationship, the history of, what you have going on here coaching. And I mean, it was a pleasure speaking to you, man. I wanted to do something fun with like a draft at the end here,
Yeah, I
but
know you
Zoom's
mentioned it.
killing us on time.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's amazing. I've been there on Zoom, but no, thank you for the kind words and thank you for even thinking of me to speak on your platform. It's always nice again to hear back these stories because I'm a very in the moment person, and sometimes I don't sit back and notice what I'm doing, because honestly, it's never for that. I never think of doing something just to hear it back. Like, I don't search for compliments. I don't search for admiration. For me, I still have a bunch of people that I admire or that inspire me. And sometimes I think I just kind of just simplify things and go, oh, well, he did this. So like, I'm not doing anything yet. And not to take away or discredit anything I do. But I'm not big on attention.
Sure.
I'm not big on taking pictures of every workout and recording things, and no knock to anybody who does it. But for me, I think I've enjoyed the space that I'm in very much. And I'm just very grateful that at the age of 25, I can say that, like, if tomorrow I stepped away, I was a successful high school coach. St. Andrew got to their first Final Four with, obviously Terrell led this ship, but I was there. And so St. Andrews, good. We-R1, I have kids who have played college ball and are very impactful. And, I can say confidently that, summer AAU is going to probably take a step back within the next couple of years. But at the same time, when I step away from things, I think I can say with pure confidence that I helped, and that's all it's about. So I'm just looking forward to new things. I have a new battery in my back right now when it comes to just making sure MOT grows, whether it be social media or getting help or just new ideas and new ventures. We-R1, I had the select team, but I had studs too. Like, these kids I had D1 recruits on my quote unquote B team. Like, that's nice. It's a nice feeling. And to be able to coach the guys that maybe would have fallen through the cracks or had to leave the state to play for quality basketball. We-R1 is an amazing organization with a lot of great talent. So you just always want to make sure that the kids know, like, hey, you might not be that Kansas recruit, and that's okay. You can still get your books paid for. You can still go overseas and be a professional, or, you can still get what you want out of the sport, whether it be, memories or eventually coaching or things of that nature. So I see the less than 1 minute mark, so I'll let you wrap it up. But I'm just trying to keep this positive energy flowing, and that's really all it's about for me.
And it's evident, man. And thanks again for being on here. This was a great podcast. I can't wait for what's to come. Maybe we'll have to get you on here again shortly. But it's been a pleasure, man. This is the 3/2. I'll have this uploaded on YouTube, and then we'll get it out on some other platforms as well.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much
man.
for having me.
Appreciate you, man.
Mm-hmm.